Centralia Panthers Coaches Corner, a service of First Heritage Bank, Blue Valley Technologies, and Wanklin Oil.
In today's world, everyone is searching for answers. If cows are laying down, will it rain? Does gum really stay in your stomach for 7 years? How about Bigfoot? With so many mysteries, it's nice to have one clear answer. Fiber. Blue Valley Technologies proudly provides a robust fiber network with symmetrical speeds and unmatched reliability. And with 24/7 support, we are always here when you need us. Blue Valley Technologies Fiber Internet, because some things just shouldn't be a mystery.
Wanklin Oil is proud to serve the community with propane, gas, and diesel fuel right to your home or farm. Family owned and operated, they'll deliver your fuel with an old-fashioned personal touch. Their dependable quality service at the lowest price available makes them a leader in the field. In addition to propane and diesel, they also offer tank repair, sales, and service. For your fuel and heating needs, Wanklin Oil is just a call away. 800-794-2019. They have the energy since 1926.
Everyone has something that they do best. Banks are no exception. Ours is investing back into the local communities that we serve. We make loans to local families and businesses. These loans generate the dollars which empower our local community. Invest in our community by banking with us. We're an equal housing lender. First Heritage Bank in Centralia, Corning, Seneca, and Vermilion. Member FDIC. Online at 1hbank.com.
Welcome into the Centralia Panthers Coaches Corner program, joined today by girls basketball head coach Dusty Thompson. Coach, welcome back into the program this season. You guys are getting the year underway, already a win under your belt versus Nemaha Central. So what did you see from your team first time out there last week?
You know, I told them in the locker room afterwards, I thought their effort was great. You know, they were dog tired by the time we were done. Of course, Taylor's still hurt, so hopefully we get her back at Christmas. So we're just not as deep as we were last year at the moment. And, so as far as their effort went, I thought their effort was great. There's obviously, first game, you get that first game jitters, especially without Owen and Tatum and Isabel, those seniors to help set the tone for some things. And there were some jitters to start with, but I thought the girls settled in when they needed to in the second half and found a way to win a ball game.
And how kind of is that? I'll use the term, I guess, team chemistry this year. You mentioned it. Tatum's gone. Owen's gone to his year. Players that, played a lot of varsity minutes and led this team for quite a few years. So how's everyone, working together and I guess stepping into some new roles?
Good. I think there's some hesitation to do some things. Last year, Owen, when we struggled, Owen just kind of took over. And I think there's some hesitation to find that girl that wants to do that. I told them that we've got girls that will shoot the ball with 3 seconds left. I don't know that we got anybody that is going to go find the ball with 3 seconds left right now, but I think we'll get there by the end of the year. But as far as the chemistry goes, they did some great things on the floor the other night. This group from day one has done an excellent job of communicating defensively and being on the same page and stuff like that. So it's a good start.
And coming off of the year you had, obviously last year you guys go undefeated, you win the state championship, and I'm sure that's still an expectation and a goal for your team, but how do you make sure that this team's goal is what this team can achieve this season?
For this group, I told them, and you kind of hinted at it there, that their roles have to change. If we're gonna be in the same place we were last year, then they've got to be different players this year. We won't be very good if they just think that their role is the exact same as it was last year. So getting them to buy into, I think, throughout the season that role has got to continue to change, and they've got to continue to do some things, I think, is probably the biggest thing for us right now.
And some of those roles changing, not to overhype it too as well, but you do bring back some experience, most notably down there in the low post. Joseph Haverkamp is back for you guys, Tava Gibbs too as well. So how do you make sure and you work on this team's strengths this season?
We've come up with some things in practice that I think have allowed this group to grow already, and I think it's just continuing. It's not just them. We've got to find new drills that are better suited for this group and, press a little differently and things like that. So I think it's just it's a team thing from top to bottom, making small adjustments. I think, like you said, the core is there. There's some things we've got to do a little different than we did last year, but the opportunity at the end of the year should still be there if we keep making those adjustments.
We were kind of chatting a little bit beforehand. Obviously, this team, you're going to have to go back to practice this week. They're a long way from where you want to be. But as you kind of look at this schedule here before Christmas break, this first third of the season, I guess, what do you want to see this team take a step out and improve in as this kind of month goes along?
I think it's just little things. I made a comment in the locker room the other night that I'm perfectly fine with turning the ball over if you're trying something. You try a lob pass and it doesn't work, then try something different the next time. But with this group, like I said, we've had Owen for 4 years where she did things when she had to, and she made others around her look better. And this group's going to have to work together to look better. And but make some of those mistakes and figure out where you're at and what you can and can't do. And then, I tell people all the time, we'll get to Christmas break and we can really get through 6 or 7 days of fundamental stuff, working on everything we've seen through 4 ball games that we need to improve on. And I think for me, that's the big thing now is how do we continue to improve on some little things between now and Christmas and then have Christmas break to really work on getting ready for, the league tournament and moving forward.
And you mentioned a word there, league play. We're a ways away from this one, but when you look at this week's schedule, Silver Lake coming up along with, who else? St. Mary's is you guys have this week. So an opportunity to see some teams that you don't normally see through the season. How do you handle these games coming up this week? What do you want to see from your team, and how do you come out victorious?
I think, like you said, I think for us, it's going to be the little things. We had 22 turnovers the other night, limiting those. Now, some of those were because I told them to make those passes, but I said make them, but don't make them. You make them the first time, that's fine. Don't make them the second time. So for us, it's going to be, just like you said, small adjustments. How do we adjust to different situations specifically? But more importantly, what do we learn from the game before? We made that pass the other night. Do you make the same pass and turn it over again, or do you try something a little different? And I think for us, that's what these first 4 games are all about.
And I think like we were talking a little bit off air too as well, it's still just that learning time of the season, figuring out what works best for you, what the players work best to as well out there on the court. Again, talking with Dusty Thompson, head coach of the Centralia girls basketball team. Dusty, I appreciate your time this week, and we'll look forward to chatting some more basketball throughout the rest of the season.
Sounds good, Max. Thanks.
Centralia Panthers Coaches Corner, a service of First Heritage Bank, Blue Valley Technologies, and Wanklin Oil.